Only joking.
No, it's fabulous.
I know this only looks like 2 bills.
Woo!
But I'm putting it up against
Woo!
Victor. 2 bills.
Look at that. And you already wiped me out.
Awesome.
For as much as I'd like to save this, I'm going to put it in his hat, and I think he's going to give his hat right on.
I'm tithing that
Well,
right back to the
much.
church.
You give me another 20 outdoors.
Woo!
Thank
Feel
you
that
guys.
energy,
Wow.
right? That exchange.
Woo!
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. That's a lucky hat. I guess I'm going to have to. There you go.
That means we need to keep Vicky.
Who kicked it off for us. Yes. Thank you, darling. You guys are just fabulous and fun, so thank you. Last week, I'm told you had Diane doing a little martial arts on ya. So, and I heard it. I listened to it. Good talk, so thank you. Thank you very, very much for doing that. And that allowed me to be able to go on a retreat, a spiritual retreat. And it was really fabulous. Just what I needed. Just opened me up in a whole new way. And of course, I've got to bring that and share it with you. So we are going to be doing a new series next month, which is, the book is entitled, I Am the Word by Paul Selig. I'm telling you, it's going to shift you in a whole new way. So I look forward to diving into that. All right, so today's talk, we're going to be talking about tithing. You know, when I first started this series, are you guys having a good time? Are you? Are you tithing? Tithing? Okay, tying it in. I like it. So when I first started the series, I talked about most churches initiate prosperity programs because they're trying to create income that can sustain their budgets. And my focus has always been that you deserve to be prosperous. And so that's why I'm doing this series, because it's about you being prosperous. So we're talking about tithing today. And I want to look at this, dissect it a little bit. Is this really part of our prosperity consciousness? Or is it just a gimmick that the church has come up with so that they get money? Let's look at that. Because you may not say it out loud. You may think, there's a gotcha here. That's why the church is doing it. All right, so we will look at why we even have tithing in our vocabulary. I know that when I started coming up in Unity, I was taught that there's kind of like a magical gift in tithing. That as we tithe, we receive more than we could ever give. That's a pretty cool thing. I have even heard ministers quote ratios on people's return for their contributions. Like 7 times, 10 times, 100 times, whatever you put in the plate, you are going to receive back. Ever been to any of those kind of revival type places? Yeah. That's why, that's why you're here. Amen. So I think in general, New Thought communities may have started talking about tithing in relation to prosperity consciousness, but I think somewhere along the way, it's kind of become a way of having an income stream come into churches and communities. So let's unravel that. Have communities forgotten the truth that we live in a divine world full of possibilities and abundance? That the reality is you and I are made in the image of the universe. And the universe is designed to give to us. And all we need to do to get into that flow of abundance is to emulate the universe as givers. That's all we really need to do, because life is a giving process. That's what life is. And as divine beings, we can't help but express ourselves, right? And in that expressing ourselves, that is a giving to the world. That is how we give to the world, by expressing ourselves. And when we do that, we can't help but get abundance back. It's just how the the spiritual law of giving works. So, is it nice to have expensive things or be comfortable or to be surrounded by beauty? Yeah, I would think so. I like it. I'm not going to tell you that I've put on the seminary coarse hair shirt, and taken a vow of poverty. No. Of course, I like to be surrounded by nice things. But if those nice things become how you define yourself or your success, then you are out of alignment. Did you hear me? You are out of alignment. Material things really are a byproduct. It's not the truth of who and what you are. And I think sometimes we have forgotten what success is really about. Success is about unfolding our divinity. And in this unfoldment, that is our purpose. That is our reason for being here. That's it. That's the game of success. Now, just recently, I forgot for a moment what my purpose was. I was invited to officiate a friend's wedding 1 week before the wedding was going to happen. And I thought, okay. Now, I knew the bride. I knew what she was trying to do is they were trying to accomplish creating this wedding before her mom returned to Asia in 2 weeks. She wanted her mom to be present. My first thought was, are you kidding me? With all that I've got to do, this is impossible. Followed immediately by my second thought, well, they don't have any money, so I'm going to have to gift my service to them. And I went within, and it was really quickly clear that yes, I would give of my service to them. That would be my gift to them from a place of love. And I was really okay with that. The wedding was gorgeous. It was at a location called the Overland Park Arboretum. I don't know if any of you have been. I've never been there before. I didn't even know it exists. It's stunning, absolutely stunning. And the wedding ceremony was right by the lake. It's just gorgeous. And it was a beautiful ceremony. It was really full of love and just heart and wholeness. And I can tell you that I was really blessed by this event. First, it was my first official wedding as a minister. So I was like, woohoo, And the bride was someone who had really walked with me in my 3 years of seminary woes. So she knew all the dirt and whatever the angst was, And I also asked the attendees to be participants in the wedding. So afterwards it was just we were flying, we're really joy-filled and elated and just full of love. And, everyone was saying what a great wedding it was. So about a week goes by, and I hear myself grumble. Well, the least they could have done was give me a token of their appreciation. Really? And I had to stop and have a conversation with me. Hello? You gave this out of love, out of sacred service. That's what you agreed to do. And that is what you were supposed to do. That's it. A couple weeks later, I see the bride, and she gives me this gift that was way beyond anything that I expected, and it made me laugh at myself, but also the tears welled up because I got a chance to look at, here was an example very clear in my face of my giving being magnified, right? And being prosperous. I had stepped into what I talk about walking that talk of giving. So, where does the whole concept of tithing come from? Well, I checked the Catholic Encyclopedia, and they said in the year 567 AD, the bishops all got together, as bishops do, and they legislated that there would be a tithe obligation for all of Christendom. And that's how it came into being in our current phase. So what they did is they hearkened back to the Mosaic laws, which were the laws of Moses, in which people tithed. People gave to the priests and the kings their first fruits. And this particular Mosaic law can be found in Leviticus 27, verses 30 and 32. It is written, "All tithes from the land, whether the seed from the ground or the fruit from the tree, are the Lord's. They are holy to the Lord. If persons wish to redeem any of their tithes, they must add 1/5 to them. All tithes of herd and flock, every 10th one that passes under the shepherd's staff, shall be holy unto the Lord." Now keep in mind, the Mosaic laws, what we're talking about is, these are the laws given to Moses. We often refer to them as the 10 Commandments. Although, if you didn't know, there were 613 laws given. So this is where this comes from. And these laws were given to an ancient people that helped them to operate in the world. It was a moral code to help them figure out how to live in the world. These were a people that did not know anything about their inner divinity. All they relied on was an external God to tell them, to define for them what was ethical behaviors. And many theologians argue, well, if these laws were given by God, you know how we do that. Was that good? A good exaggeration. If these laws were given by God, then we must adhere to all of them. But what's interesting is that most of them we don't adhere to. For example, slavery is abolished, so we don't need a code on how to ethically treat our slaves. We don't sell our daughters. We don't do an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth for anyone who may have hurt someone else. But when it comes to tithing, people still insist that this must be done. Now, I get that in the ancient Near East, it was a theocracy, which is a religious government. And people gave their tithes really to support the priests and the government. That was how they survived. And it became compulsory. And if you did not comply with this tithe, you could be put to death. Now, the Persians did it, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, even the Romans did tithing. So it's not a Jewish invention. And it probably came into being from conquering warlords where they demanded tribute be paid in order to feel safe and be at peace. That's probably where it originates from. So then the question is, why do we even bother talking about it in unity if it's so archaic? And Butterworth says this is why, and I quote, "Any study of prosperity fails unless it teaches you how and why to give. Giving is basically an attitude with which you touch things." So really, tithing is a tool. It's a tool that attempts to get us into the flow of giving. It helps us to activate that spiritual law of giving. Now, the Mosaic laws were there to help people, right? They didn't really know how to give spiritually. They didn't really know anything about the spiritual laws or anything like that. But what you can see from the Hebrew Bible, which many of us refer to as the Old Testament, although did you know that's not politically correct to say any longer? You're supposed to say the Hebrew Bible, because old represents something that is no longer useful. So we were taught in seminary, Hebrew is the Hebrew Bible. So I'm just telling you. All right, I digress. So in the Hebrew Bible, what could be seen is that tithing becomes this forced and very rigid law, that it really just kind of usurps the spiritual law of giving. And then we have the New Testament, where it said that Jesus came not to abolish the law, but to bring in a new and higher level of consciousness regarding the law. He was more concerned about how we spontaneously give from a place of love. He was clear that we cannot outgive substance. We cannot outgive the universe. And he was more concerned about our intentions as we give to others. And Eric Butterworth writes this again about tithing. It is unfortunate and also misleading that tithing is presented as a divine law rather than as a training discipline by which to work toward knowledge of the law of giving. Sometimes it's said that tithing is a magic cure for all ills, but there is no magic whatever in tithing. It is a spiritual law that as you give, you so receive. Once again, it's a tool. That's all tithing is. It's a tool to get into that flow of divine giving, nothing more. It's to help you get into a cycle of giving. But really, what we need to focus on is the spiritual law. The spiritual law, which is really activated by our ability to give freely and joyously. To give freely and joyously. If we give from a place of obligation, it does not support us. I want to say one more thing from Butterworth about tithing. Let's hear less of tithing and more of giving. Let us not be deluded by claims of the magical law of tithing. Tithing is not a law, but a technique for fulfilling the law of giving. There is no magic, any more than there is magic in the flow of water when the tap is turned on. There is no need for magic when one works diligently to keep in the flow of life. So whenever you come to a place where you feel yourself stagnating, blocked, not able to move forward, the answer is to give. To give of your time, to give of your talents, to give of your treasures. This is how you activate and change the energetic field, by giving. So you know I always like to walk my talk and be authentic. So as I was writing this talk, I thought, what could I possibly share with each of you that would have come from a place that is valuable to me, that is precious, that I no longer use? And I had an answer, and I got to tell you, didn't like the answer. I was like, no, okay, I'll go back into meditation again. Maybe I'll get something different. Would you take one and pass around? But it was clear. What I needed to release was my first set of pearls. Now, I'm going to tell you the story about these pearls. I bought these when I was in my late 20s, and it was significant because it was the first time that I bought something for myself of value. For myself of value. And now I thought I was this cool New Yorker who had her own set of pearls. How cool is that? I'm cultured too. So this represents my awakening to my own personal worth and success. And so I thought, well, you know, they were broken, and then I had them repaired. And you know, each time you get them repaired, you lose some, and they get shorter and shorter on that choker. And so they broke again, and they were just sitting in my jewelry box. And I thought, well, maybe I'll be able to pass this on to a daughter or a niece or something like that someday. But it was really clear that this is where it needed to be. You need to know that I see you and I value you. I value the divine being that you are. And when you have this pearl, you'll know that. For the times when you can't remember yourself, how amazing you are, how awesome you are. you'll have this as a touchstone. So you'll know I have value. I am a divine being. I am here. And I love each and every one of you.